Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd turn first to Mr. Crane and ask you, thinking of the exchange with Director Morton in the previous, as the previous panel, would you, do you know of cases that are open and shut cases down in the near border area that aren't prosecuted due to lack of prosecutors, judges, and prison beds?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you? I had a problem hearing you. Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Do you know of cases that are essentially open and shut made cases that are not prosecuted on the southern border because of lack of the ability to prosecute, lack of judges, or lack of prison beds?
Are you talking about criminal prosecution for entry and reentry?
And also for illegal drug smuggling? The
drug smuggling I can't really speak to, sir. But as far as entry and illegal reentry, absolutely. They don't have the judges down there to support it, nor do we anywhere in the United States.
Would you have
if I may, most of the cases that Director Morton spoke of, out of those, I believe he quoted 10,000 prosecutions that we did last year, at least in our district, it's pretty much has to be an aggravated felon for us to prosecute them. So while any person that reenters the United States, it's a felony and they can be prosecuted, we're not prosecuting those people. They're only convicted aggravated felons for the most part.
And would you have an estimate as to what percentage we are prosecuting?
No, sir.
And if does anyone have that data?
I do not, sir.
Does anyone have that data?
They're pretty stingy with the numbers for us.
And I'm going to suggest that that data has to exist. We would have the interdiction numbers, and those interdiction numbers would be a strong indicator. I know that there are prosecutorial discretion cases involved here too, a little bit off of what the primary subject has been. But I'm boring in on this, that if we have such an ineffective prosecution that the perpetrators first get the message from ICE that if you aren't a threat to, let's say, the political viability of the administration is what it seems like to me. If you aren't a threat, we're not going to prosecute you. If you are, if you're committing a felony, we likely don't have the resources to prosecute you. And so in both of these categories, we hardly have any deterrent at all. Would you agree with that statement generally?
I absolutely agree with that. And as I have said in my previous statements, when we go into jails oftentimes, illegal aliens approach us volunteering, begging us to deport them from the United States because that they know that they will avoid prosecution, they will avoid jail time, we'll send them back to Mexico or Central America, South America, wherever they came from, and they'll be back in our communities within a week or two committing the same crimes that they were before. That border is not shut down, I can promise you that, not when those folks are able to come back a week later and be in the middle of the United States committing crimes and apprehended by police again.
And the deterrent effect, I remember standing in a border station on the Arizona border and asking the question, how many times do you see a unique individual come through here? The answer I got back was 37. Actually 38. We ran the numbers and it came out of the database at 27 in either case. 27 times through the border and not having any enforcement. Does that number surprise you?
No, sir, not at all.
Do you know of any bigger numbers than that?
I don't know of any bigger numbers than that, but I definitely know about comparable numbers. I work on the interior of the country. We run the fingerprints. We get the recidivist hits. And they come up with 20, 25 times that they've been apprehended at the border or elsewhere and never even put into administrative proceedings and officially deported and only given voluntary removals.
Do you ever get the sense when you go to work each day that you're handed a shovel to dig a hole and then fill it back up and punch out and go home?
Yes, sir.
And I am. I appreciate those answers to that. And with the clock ticking, I'd just comment that my frustration is I don't know how you have morale with that kind of a scenario if you can't measure success. But I'd turn to Mr. Rivkin and thank you, Mr. Crane.